Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Swaha. Let us all make prostrations to the triple jewels together. Once again, let us recollect the kindness of the triple jewels, and with a full gratitude in heart, let us all place our palm together to request Geshe to give teaching according to the well wishes and capacities of the students. Geshe, kindly give us the teaching.
I go for refuge and enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha, the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha, the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha, the benefit of all sentient beings. Sanye Judo Zobe Chonam La Chanjo Bando Dane Gyapsush Ave Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Chola Pengre Sanje Drupara Isho Sanye Judo Zobe Chonam La Chanjo Bando Dane Gyapsush Ave Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Toba Venye Sanje Drupara Isho Sanje Joda Zoge Jonam No Chanjo Bado Dane Gyapsoje Nave Jinso Gebe Sonamge Toba Venye Sanje Drupara Isho Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Te Shandatagato Yavatat Te Sham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Te Sham Tathagato Yavatat Te Sham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Te Sham Tathagato Yavatat Te Sham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. Causes are taught by the Tathagata. Same causes as well as taught by the Geshe. Okay, continuation. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Continuation from where we left this morning, page 201. 201. First paragraph. Some Tibetans mean in the past, the scholars of it was such a situation. Today we have all these brilliant, for example, like Okay, the Russian sound, no sound, no sound. It's breaking. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so the in the past, during the time of Lama Tsongkhapa, it was quite a different situation where the Madhyamaka emptiness philosophy was not so established in Tibet, not so popular. But the Lama Tsongkhapa's teacher, Geshe, and then Lama Tsongkhapa, look at the incredibly high quality the works on emptiness. We're very fortunate to have these ready, and because of which Acharya Chandagati's text, I learned that even Acharya Chandagati's text was not so popular in Tibet around that time. And then Aranyagardhana's works, so we are very fortunate from that point of view. So here, while Lama Tsongkhapa is so focused on rejecting the views held by the contemporary Tibetan scholars, is because that it can mislead people. It's greatly misleading, and therefore people are deprived of the only liberating path to enlightenment. So some Tibetans do not posit ultimate truth as the sheer elimination of the elaborations of the objects of negation. So what is emptiness? From now what we have learned is that it's a sheer elimination of the elaboration, just the rejection, the mere rejection of intrinsic reality. What is that? Non-affirming negative. So emptiness should necessarily be understood as non-affirming negative. It's very important. So okay, you tell me, what is this? A booklet. And what is this? A rosary. And what is this? Pen. And what is this? Okay, so we see that I picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 objects, and you identified all of them as positive or negative. Positive, but there are so many things which are negative. Absence of intrinsic reality, absence of being permanent, so forth. But our mind is so used to picking up only the positive phenomena. We're not used to picking up the negative phenomena. Whereas emptiness is always negative phenomena. Within negative, non-affirming negative. So this is what we are not used to. We're not really used to that. The holding on or viewing or apprehending a non-affirming negative. So therefore, with emptiness, you meditate emptiness of the self, 6 elements, and then you make it so the self disappears, but the 6 elements remain. 6 elements, positive and negative. Positive is not emptiness. So these are say for example, some people, they go into the self and then see the mind. Mind is love, and then stay in this experience of the mind. Mind, and just focus on mind and freed from any other engagement, other things. So empty of emptiness, empty of engaging with other objects, just the mind. Not interacting with other objects, just mind. And they think that this is meditation emptiness. Mind, positive, negative. Positive phenomenon. It's not the negative and not emptiness, because it's a positive phenomena. Emptiness should necessarily be negative phenomena. So this is a big message for us, that whenever we meditate emptiness, just see if the object that you think you are meditating emptiness, if that object is positive, negative, within the negative, affirming, non-affirming, we have to double check it. That's so important. So oftentimes people say, okay, what is the self? Self is not there, just 6 elements, and stay there in the 6 elements. That's a positive phenomenon. It's not emptiness. It's not a non-affirming negative. So emptiness should necessarily be non-affirming negative. And then all the debates are there. Okay, debates is one thing, and then finally is your well-being. So see what is a positive phenomena, see what is a non-affirming negative phenomena. And then when you get that the emptiness in the form of non-affirming negative, emptiness in the form of non-affirming negative, when you get it, what is the feeling like? Just check it. Emptiness in the form of, for example, say the the person is very gross, going to the 6 elements, subtler. 6 elements subtler than both the positive phenomena, but the 6 elements, they are subtler, and you just see the 6 elements, it's subtler than the gross, the person, but still it's not emptiness. It's a positive phenomena, and you think that self disappears and 6 elements appear, so therefore I'm just merely emptiness, and you may spend like years and years. Just imagine in Tibet in those days around Lama Tsongkhapa's time, there are people actually spending 20, 30, 40 years in solitude, meditating on a supposed to be meditative emptiness, just sitting in this experience of the mind, the empty of is engagement with the external world. They think this emptiness, empty of not intrinsic reality, empty of engaging with external world, just the mind manifestations experience. They think that this meditative and emptiness. So these are the problems that were so rampant around that time. So therefore Lama Tsongkhapa put effort to stop all these mistaken thoughts, mistaken conceptions about emptiness. Okay, so with this mind, some Tibetans do not posit the ultimate truth as the sheer elimination. Sheer elimination meaning non-affirming negative, sheer elimination of the elaborations of the objects of negation, which means emptiness of the sheer elimination of intrinsic existence or sheer rejection of intrinsic existence. For example, two selves meaning selfhood of person and selfhood of phenomena. Instead, they hold that as the object of mind that not mistakenly knows how things exist. Object of mind, look, object of mind, what is that emptiness? As per these scholars or these practitioners, they think that is an object of mind that not mistakenly knows how things exist. Okay, that Acharya Chandrakanta also agrees, Arinagajan agrees. They say not mistakenly knows how things exist, plus that it ultimately appears, to exist under its own power. Under its own power meaning there's something the positive phenomenon arising, like the flower. So there's a flower as a positive phenomena. So like this, there is primarily, I think it is primarily, Lama Tsongkhapa is primarily pointing to the Tulpapa. There, the mind, for them, the mind, and he was very famous and popular. Okay, Lama Tsongkhapa to mention the name, I shouldn't mention the name. Right? So naming is not good idea. Naming is not good idea. So but these are the problems. So they say that, so this mind is the ultimate. This mind, your mind is the ultimate, true nature of the mind is the ultimate. Let it manifest, and that mind be freed of the dependent nature, meaning impermanent nature. That mind be freed of the impurity nature. Impurity nature, that is ultimate truth. So it's similar to Chedamata philosophy, where the thoroughly established nature, what is thoroughly established nature? Dependent nature, empty of impurity nature, that is thoroughly established nature. Let me repeat it. So those of us who are new, dependent nature, empty of impurity nature, equals thoroughly established nature. So this is Chedamata's the philosophical background. Now this tradition here in Tibet, they say that it's very similar to Chenmo, not exactly similar. They say that thoroughly established nature, the true nature of mind, that thoroughly established nature is devoid of the impurity nature plus devoid of the dependent nature. What about your mind, this dependent nature? Yes, for them, the mind, your mind, true nature of mind, there's not dependent nature. Dependent nature means all the external things like the table, the house, the stars, the world, and so forth. All these this mind is freed of all these impurity nature and the dependent nature. That is the thoroughly established nature. So, and this exists under its own power. The word here is as an object of mind that the ultimate appears to exist under its own power, intrinsically. Okay, just as things such as blue and yellow appear to an ordinary mind, how the blue, yellow, flower and so forth, they appear to us so objectively as so intrinsically. So this is what they think that ultimate reality should manifest like this, as the intrinsic nature. Just as things such as blue and yellow appear to an ordinary mind. Ascertaining that it does not exist in that way, ascertaining that it does not exist in that way is the view. The ascertaining that it does not exist in that way as from one's own is the view that knows the profound. They also claim that it is a misstep with regard to the correct view to regard external and internal phenomena, the basis with regard to which living beings cling to the true self as like intrinsic nature. So what they say is that how Acharya Chandrakirti presents emptiness, where things are empty of intrinsic reality, that understanding is a misstep, is a wrong understanding of emptiness. This is how they say. They also claim that it is a misstep with regard to the correct view to regard external and internal phenomena, the basis with regard to which living beings cling to the true selves as like intrinsic. This is a misstep. Misstep is a wrong understanding. These assertions stand outside the sphere of all the scriptures. So this position, which were quite popular in those days, that doesn't really resonate with the true intent of the scriptures, both the Hinayana scriptures meaning the sutras of the Hinayana scriptures as well as the Mahayana scriptures. They accept that it is necessary to stop the conception of, okay, so this is what is common to all of us, both sides. They accept that it is necessary to stop the conception of the self. Okay, conception of self, this translation, I would say, conception of the selfhood of the self. Not conception of self. So, by the way, oftentimes this word self is used, but better would be selfhood. Selfhood has a connotation of something intrinsic. So they say the root of binds all living beings in cyclic existence. They accept that it is necessary to stop the conception of this selfhood self. Yes. What is that? That is the root that binds all living beings in cyclic existence. They then assert that you do not stop the conception of self by realizing, okay, they say that, so this, what the Buddha taught, the third seal. What is the third seal? All phenomena are the nature of emptiness and selflessness. So this selflessness has to be realized, which the Buddha taught. And then when you ask how to realize this selflessness, then they say, okay, look, then they then assert that you do not stop the conception of self by realizing that there is no intrinsic existence. What would you say? How would you understand this selflessness, that everything's nature or emptiness, selflessness? How do you understand it? By rejecting intrinsic self. Just stay there, rejecting see the emptiness of intrinsic self, and stay there. This is how we understand what you understand of the selflessness of the selflessness. And what they say is, no, this is not how you do. You should do differently. So how? They then assert that you don't stop the conception of self by realizing that there is no intrinsic existence. In the substrata, it apprehends as self. Rather, you stop it by knowing as truly existent some other unrelated phenomena. Saying that, so what they say that, the opponents, the early Tibetans, they are saying that don't see the self as empty of intrinsic reality, but see something else, another phenomena, like what? The true nature of mind, positive phenomena. So that some other unrelated phenomena, knowing as truly existent, that mind, true nature of mind, as truly existent. As truly existent, you realize this, and this is what we need to keep in mind. I would say that meditation on the awareness of awareness. Meditation, awareness. This is extremely good meditation, profound meditation. Awareness. Just see what is your awareness, what is your mind like. Just being aware of your own mind. This is so important. But at the same time, many people can easily fall into several problems. One problem is that it can slide into laxity, because awareness is so subtle that we find it so difficult to be aware of, to realize it. We don't know whether you are realizing the awareness or you are realizing the appearance of the awareness. There are so many misconceptions there. And then with this, and because the object is very subtle, the danger is that you can easily slide into laxity, where the mind becomes very relaxed, and mind becomes a little loose. Okay, let's say
Yeah, getting the peshwa. Getting the better. Okay, let's see. Say which we can, which where we cannot see the distinctions. Very difficult because it's very subtle. Okay, so you see the difference. You see difference. This madhya. This madhya. So you see difference. You see difference. Some of you already know what I was doing in the earlier things. You see difference. Okay, 1 and 2. Let me do it one small. 1 and 2. Do you see difference? You don't see difference. Is there difference? Is there difference or not? There is. There is difference. You're getting it? But you cannot see that. Likewise, the mind. What that is? The mind, when it comes to the mind is too subtle that whether you are really seeing the mind or you are just in blank out. This distinction is very difficult. This distinction is very difficult, and also in the past, in Tibet, people, the devotion is amazing. The devotion is amazing, and then these teachings are not so widely taught. Not so widely taught, only taught to some exclusive small group. These are taught for these people, not widely taught. But nowadays, it's widely taught, dream yoga. And all, I don't know what it is, so all is so widely taught. This is not allowed, because you may be, the people, many may be misled. They go into the Dharma and go into a wrong direction. By the way, one feedback that I was seeing from one of the participants of the Dream Yoga, so publicly announced Dream Yoga, and the person gave the comment that I don't know whether I had really had the meditation, the yoga in the dream, but I had a sound sleep. I had a sound sleep. You're getting it? Okay, so what I'm saying is that it's not really meant for everybody. So we have to be prepared. See, say if season comes afflictions to nirvana, the karmas, how much negative karmas you stop. For example, like look at your anger to your mother. Look at your anger towards your sister, brother, fights and so forth. If these gross waves are there, don't think of seeing the clarity of the water. The example that I give you, day 1 and day 2, just seeing the ferocious wave, whitish waves on the surface. Don't expect to see the clarity of the water. Don't expect that. So, dream yoga and so forth, this is extremely disciplined version of your mind, where your mind is so disciplined you can see the nuances. And then look at the discipline, so much anger, agitation, jealousy, and all these are, and cravings just for property and so forth. All these things are there, and then talking about the great dream yoga. And this is where we're going wrong. We're going wrong. So, if you really want to go in this direction, you can do. What I usually say is that try your best to manage your destructive wrong actions, negative karmas. Then try your best to manage your emotions. For example, like the afflictions. Try to mitigate them as much as you can. Then with respect to the inappropriate tension, just try to see them in the form of the relativity. See all things in relative terms. So where your involuntary pull and involuntary push is less, because you see them all in relative terms, so that you are not going to be affected as much. Then we find emptiness. So therefore, unless we deal with the grosser levels of the behaviors and thought processes, then talking about the subtler, this is all self-deception. So first thing that I would say is that if you are a short-tempered person, shouting at mother and so forth, just, that is your Dhamma practice. Stop that. That is your Dhamma practice. Forget about emptiness or, the dream yoga and so forth. This is your Dhamma practice. Is to succeed in this amazing. You should feel proud of the Nalanda studies that you're doing. Likewise me. Each one of us. This is what we do. And then see with respect to your emotions, afflictions, just see how not to indulge with them. Not to indulge in them. For example, let's say, oh, now the group, oh, Dharma friends come together. It's so good to see Dharma friends, and then go to where? Oh, let's have let's meet up. Let's meet up for a meal, and the meal do drinks, and drinks too, and then you fall. No. So if this is where we just openly indulge in the negativities, negative thought processes, obscurations, then no chance, no emptiness. And then with compassion also, where you can actually practice and you can actually manage, just feel the pain of the other person. Feel the pain of the other person. For example, this little boy, he was sitting very sad. And this was not what this boy is like. I said, what happened? He said, I dropped the mic. I said, I dropped the mic so many times. When I was younger, I dropped the mic so many times. So don't worry. You're getting it? So therefore, the point is that compassion. Try your best. There's somebody who is, somebody who is financially bigger, name-wise bigger, whatever. Oh, you smile. At the moment you see somebody else who does not have these things, and then you just ignore them. This is non-dharma. This is purely non-dharma. So in fact, particularly people who have name, fame, so forth, and everybody will do. You don't really do something. But those people who don't have support system, so there you need to really shower compassion. That is a real Dharma practice. So these are things that we are not to forget. So first thing that I would say is that if you're a short-tempered person, just see how to mitigate. Anger will arise, but actually flowing with anger. Flowing with anger, to shout at your mom, to shout at your husband, shout at your wife, children, so forth. This, if you don't control, then talk about the emptiness is a little far away, number one. And particularly talking about awareness is impossible. The mind is so gross that you cannot see your mind. Impossible. Don't forget it. So therefore, there are people nowadays, it's so widely taught, it's quite scary. It's quite scary. So usually what I say is that the best thing is knowing that there's a practice of Tantra, practice of the awareness, meditation, and so forth. Those all practices intact. So what we do is that what I can do, in reality, I have to learn everything. I have to learn everything. Learn everything, there's no harm. Learn. And then put practice from A, then go to B, C, D, E, F. First the contaminant karmas. Just manage the contaminant karmas. 10 non-virtuous actions. Just try to be away from them. Then afflictions, try to mitigate them. If you move to that level from the karmas to the affliction, observing for example, cheesecake, how your mind behaves, observe it. Rather than cheesecake, the dog meeting with meat. Instead of that, just observe it, how that is like. So if these steps you take, this is so precious. I would say that this would really make the great Nalanda Masters proud of you. This is Dharma practice. This should be a Dharma practice. And so where earlier, even the family members, they may not feel so comfortable to be with you. Now they feel so comfortable. That is your success of the Dhamma practice. So these are things that we need to remember. So what I'm saying is that these meditations, what is being indicated here, that there's something, the true initial mind, the mind itself, the ultimate permanent mind. That mind intrinsically exists and stays experience, cut off from the external world. That is the realization of the ultimate reality. This is what they say. So Lama says this is not correct. Okay. They then assert that you do not stop the constant conception of self by realizing that there is no intrinsic existence. So what they say is that just seeing emptiness of intrinsic reality, this will not help. It will not stop the self-grasping ignorance. the conception of no intrinsic in the substrate, it happens as self. Rather, you stop it by knowing as truly existent some other unrelated phenomena, say the thoroughly established nature in the form of your true nature of mind, and that exists as a truly, intrinsically real. That will help you to cut the self-grasping ignorance. True, not true? True, not true. It's not true. It's not true. So what we do is that for the time being we can intellectually say it's not true. But then gradually you try to learn, I would say particularly NMC 1 and NMC 2. I would say once in a while you practice, of course you must get the good information, good instruction, how to observe, how to be aware of one's own awareness. And try to get some experience of that. Some experience. So what is this awareness like? Awareness meditation. And gradually we see that even this awareness, from this awareness we see whatever we're seeing, everything that we are seeing, we're experiencing, they're nothing but the radiance of one's own awareness. That is the second step. They're all the radiance of one's own awareness. Without this, everything else is just empty. This is all the play. Like the light source, with the light source, then all the light dance and this is not happening. There's nothing but the play of this light source. Like the movie projected in the movie, actually is the play of the light from the projector. Likewise, the play, everything is radiance of one's own mind. So even that is the same, somebody can teach. But for the people to really feel it, it's going to be quite complicated. But I would say the NMC1, particularly NMC1, I would say that you've been very consistent. So for you people, I would say that it would be good if you can do a little bit of these practices. Of course, you need to get good instruction, because the wrong instruction can take you haywire. So with this, number one, then number two, emptiness intrinsic reality. And then compare and contrast. Compare contrast. You say just awareness. And some people, I'm very impressed. Many years ago, when we first did a little bit of the meditation awareness meditation instruction in Tibet house, some people reported that so attempting this practice, then mind started to feel so much calm. There's so much calmness, and I don't want to come out of this meditation. Some people reported that to me. That's very good. But the other side, seeing the emptiness of this mind, this is even more complicated. The mind itself, getting this awareness is technical. Then once you get it, to see the emptiness of this awareness, whose radiance the whole universe manifests. So emptiness of that is a little more complicated. So emptiness of the self, emptiness of the table, emptiness of the food that I eat, emptiness of cheese and so just meditate on this, and then see to the effect on your mind. See to the effect on your mind experientially. And then when you see the awareness, when you have the awareness, then see to the effect on your mind. Both are very effective, liberating factor, 100%. It is the meditation, the emptiness of the mind, emptiness. But experientially you have to feel it. You see this difference, and both are very precious, and it's like a step. So awareness meditation. With this, then the next, the emptiness of the awareness. Okay. Rather, you stop it by knowing as truly existent some other unrelated phenomenon, meaning that there is the mind which is permanent, unitary and independent, which this tradition says, which is totally unrelated. And this phenomena, you just see this phenomena as intrinsically real. Keep meditating on this. This will stop this self-grasping ignorance. This is no different from the following scenario. So Lama gave a scenario, very easy to understand. Suppose that there is no snake in the east. Someone thinks that there is and is terrified. Say, where you are to the east, and somebody says, there's no snake in your place. And a person says, okay, there's a snake there, and you are terrified. Suppose that there is no snake in the east, but someone thinks that there is a snake and is terrified. You say to the distressed person, then the other person comes and tells the distressed person, you cannot stop your idea that there is no snake by thinking in the east there is no snake at all. Does it ease or does it not ease? If there's a fear that there's a snake in my place, and if you think that, okay, there's no snake in my place, will that help or will it not help? You think that first you thought that there may be a snake there, and somebody who you trust so much, that person comes and tells you that there's no snake in this place. There's no snake in this place. Are you relieved? Not relieved? You're very relieved. You're getting it. But instead of that, it says, you say to the distressed person, you cannot stop your idea that there's no snake by thinking. In the east, okay, you cannot stop your idea that there is a snake by. You say to this person, you cannot stop your idea that there's a snake by thinking in the east there is no snake at all. Actually, it should help. But he's saying, no, this will not help. What will help? Rather, you should think there's a tree in the west. There's a tree in the west and this snake fear will go away. You're getting it? So when you see that this self exists intrinsically, how should we encounter that? That self doesn't exist intrinsically. Instead of that, you say, no, don't meditate on this. This will not help. What will help is that there's a permanent unity, independent the mind there, and that meditate as intrinsically real. The tree, there's a tree there in the west, right? Nothing to do with the snake in the east. Okay, and there's a tree in the west. That will stop your idea that there's a snake and will end your distress. This example gives you the understanding as to how the other person is going wrong. Hence, so now the advice given to us, this is a very important advice. What I would say is that some people usually, but I would say here, NMC 1, 2, I feel that you are very safe. Those people who are, those who have been just newly there, or you attend some talks, wow, it's all enlightenment just like within like this. Enlightenment, right? This talk about the enlightenment, oh, cut this, cut that, and so forth, direct realization, and so forth. And then, wow, this is amazing, very inspiring. And we're going to study this. Oh, there's a program in Tibet House, none of the studies. You go there, oh, you have to study this text. Oh, no. And some no, nowadays, this is what's happening, what should I do? No, come to this stage, there is this meditation. Just awareness of the mind, and you do it, and it's this immediate benefit, and then you think, oh, I'm so lucky, I got it, without having to study a lot. You're getting it? Unfortunately, this is it's a self-deception. I don't mean to say this practice is wrong, but this practice, for example, say the food, and then there's some say, oh, there's a cheesecake. Oh, this is so nice. No, I don't have to prepare food. This is very nice. Keep eating cheesecake. Then cholesterol will come up, become fat, and gradually you will even have the feeling you'll feel tired of the cheesecake. So all these consequences are there. But cheesecake is good. Once in a while, cheesecake is good. It's a dessert is good. But it doesn't. But you should not forget the main. And at the same time, don't underestimate your potential. This is the point. Don't underestimate your potential. Don't underestimate your Buddha nature. You have a Buddha nature to know every complicated mathematical the problems. You have that potential to know all these things. Just in other words, we must put effort to understand emptiness in this life. In this life, before you close your eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Before you close your eyes, you must make it a point that you at least have some understanding of emptiness, and then pray that may I continue this journey of understanding emptiness, bodhicitta, with the awareness meditation, and with all these things intact in the next lives. But the wisdom of emptiness and bodhicitta must. Without the wisdom of emptiness, the whole journey of cleansing the mind is stopped. Without the bodhicitta, the whole trunk to grow the fruit of the the full awakening is cut. So therefore, these two must be there. And additionally, all other factors. Actually, it says that if you have the Bodhicitta, everything will come in your palm. Okay. So with this mind, now the advice given by Lama Tsongkhapa is that, hence who wish the good for yourself, meaning who is concerned about the well-being, one's own well-being. Hence you who wish the well-being of yourself should stay far away from such wrong views. This is a big message for us. You should work on the method for eradicating the way the ignorance apprehends things. So, how the ignorance apprehends things as objective real. Now work on to see that objective reality does not exist. To reject the objective existence the way otherwise apprehended by ignorance. Ignorance apprehends things. This ignorance being the root of all that binds you and degrades you in cyclic existence. Regarding this method, the text of the Father, the noble Nagarjuna, and his spiritual son Ari Bodhisattva Deva clearly set forth the vast collections of arguments. Don't delete it, just replace with reasons. Vast collections of reasons. Because the Tibetan word is the Riksok, six collections of the reasons. The Riksok, vast collections of reasons. And that built deep and certain knowledge. Certain knowledge meaning, certain is, in English it can have different meanings. Certain means some knowledge or definite knowledge. So this is a definite knowledge, a certain definite knowledge of the definitive scriptures and how it is that the meaning of these scriptures cannot be otherwise interpreted. So you studied well, concentrate on this, and then meditate on this, and then feel the difference in you. And the one thing I would also like to share with all of us is that just take care of every small thing that you're doing. Try to do everything, even the mundane. For example, like this involves two things. One is care, meticulous, being meticulous. Being meticulous, being very precise, meticulous. Try to build this habit. And meanwhile, try to avoid laziness. Even the small things. For example, it's like you drink your tea, and the monk look at the cup lies there, and you have to take it to you feel a little sleepy, you have to take it to the sink, and it doesn't go there, and then you go to sleep directly, and the cup is still lying there on the table. It's a very small thing. What's there? You go, before you go, just go and keep it in the sink, and wash it, and finish, and go there. Even that doesn't happen. And sometimes say, I don't know whether it's with everybody, some people say, like, they may have 3 shirts or 4 shirts. One shirt is dirty, the second shirt is dirty, third one dirty, fourth one dirty. Now there's no change. You can go to the dirty section. From there you pick a one which is cleaner. Just try your best, even with small things, stay away from laziness. With small things, be mindful. Be mindful. So with these, you are training your mind. This is how we train our mind. With small things, with compassion. For example, with compassion. So one thing that I'm sharing with is that we have a Tibetan class happening on Bodhicitta, and you are in your house, and then, oh, no, we have only half an hour, I have to rush to the house. And then you go there to wash your hands, your hands are dirty, and in the sink, all the ants are there, all the flies are there, and you cannot pick one by one. It takes a lot of time. So I'm sorry, Om Mani Padme Hum. And then you go to class, I have a Bodhicitta class. I'm very sorry, Om Mani Padme Hum. So all the insects was killed. So all these are mindfulness required, compassion. And then when you're about to shout at your mom, particularly mom, when you're about to shout at your mom, be mindful. I'm talking about Bodhicitta, I'm talking about the wisdom of emptiness, I'm talking about the very sophisticated the object negation, identity object negation. So while I was doing all these things, is to see the clarity of my mind, emptiness, the pure nature of my mind. For that, I should not surrender to the gross mental state, which just envelops the beautiful purity. It just shrouds the beautiful, the true nature of the mind. I should not be mindful and restrain from all that. These are things that we need to keep in mind. So important. Small things. So try to go into the perfectionism, to do things very precisely. Precisely doesn't mean they should be perfectly well, no. Sometimes we should do it very quickly. If you work too meticulously with some things, then the time that you have is only 5 minutes, and it can take 2 hours. Finish. No point, because within the person may die. In 5 minutes, the person may die. You have to manage things within the 5 minutes, within the half an hour, whatever you have to do very quickly, and that the result is there. Whereas you have a time, then try to learn how to do things meticulously, and stay away from the laziness. And then to keep learning something, never give up. Keep learning something. Oh, it's difficult to give up. No, don't give up. Just these will make your mind very strong in the next lives. Yes, depending on how much you have learned earlier, next life is going to be very easy for you to learn. And in the past life, how resilient you are. So this life, be as a little child. As a little child, you can figure out. So in fact, there was a girl who was just 4 years old, and who came with the mother and the family. And the little children, they don't drink tea. So to the elders I gave tea, and to the little children I gave juice. Only juice that I have is cranberry juice, bitter. And the small children, I can sense that they can drink. The little girl, just 4 years old, I said, okay, the kids, if you cannot drink, just leave it there. And the others, they left. Other children, they left. And the youngest one, she thought that now this is going to go waste. She drank it like this. She finished off in one gulp. Wow, that's amazing. I said that I told the mother, this girl is going to become amazing in the future. I said, there's a resilience there. There's a resilience. So these are the tendencies that you build from your past life. So this life, work on emptiness, work on bodhicitta as much as possible. And say theory and practice. Theory, you just try to learn from A to Z, theory. Practice, you have to start from A. Start the practice from A to B, B to C. This is so important. If you don't put effort in practicing A, you cannot get to B and C, and impossible to get to Z. So this is what we need to keep in mind. By the way, it reminds me of the one elderly nun, Italian nun. I know her so well, and she is so meticulous. Whatever she does is just meticulous, amazing, meticulous. But she's a little stressful person, And she went to meet one abbot who she knows, went meet to one senior abbot. And the abbot, knowing that she is so perfectionist, and that that she also has a little bit of mental stress. So the abbot said that, don't be too perfectionist. And she said that, but to become Buddha, you have to do everything so meticulously. And the abbot said, you are right. You understand? So the thing is that being meticulous, this is very important. At the same time, the meticulous and the efficiency. The word efficiency is very good. Efficiency has being the quality there plus time factor consideration. To do things in time, to finish things in time, not to take long time. You're getting it? Okay, so these are things that we need to remember. The advice given here by Lama Tsongkhapa here is that Regarding this method, the text of the father, noble Nagarjuna, and the spiritual son Bodhisattva Deva clearly set forth vast collections of arguments or vast collections of reasons that build deep and the definite knowledge of the definitive scriptures and how it is that the meaning of these scriptures cannot be otherwise interpreted. Relying on these texts by Arya Nagarjuna and Bodhisattva Deva across to the other side of the ocean of cyclic existence. No matter how difficult it is, don't give up. Just keep going with the study of the emptiness, meditate on this, practice bodhicitta, and then cross the ocean of samsara. Go to the other side of the ocean of cyclic existence, ocean of samsara. To avoid missteps or the flaws in reaching the Madhyamika view, it is most crucial to refute wrong ideas about the object negation. Meaning that to understand emptiness so well, to understand the Madhyamika philosophy so well, we should make sure that we identify the object negation properly. For that reason, I've given an extended explanation. The next, chapter 17, the actual object to be negated. Okay, so if you have this booklet with you, the main highlight says how our system identifies the object negation. Okay, where did it come from? Where did it come from? So here, in the book, you cannot know this. You will not know where it comes from. C. Where's the B? One. Where you can. So how can you know this? Anyone who can help me? Okay, Indrani 39. What page number 39 or reference number 39? Huh? Page number 8 and reference number 39. Reference number 39 says that how our system identifies the object negation. Yes, okay, this is it. And this came from where? This came from reference 20. Okay, reference 20, where is it? Page 6. Reference 20, it says how a system identifies object negation and what are the counterparts. What are the other outlines with it, along with it? There are total 3. Why the object negation must be carefully identified. Number 2, refuting other systems that refute without identifying to be negated, identifying the object to be negated. And finally, how a system identifies object negation. These 3 came from where? Reference number 17, identifying the object to be negated. And this came from where? It came from 14. Also, I'm glad that now you already become expert in using this. Very good. So this will be very helpful. And for your information, and sometimes what happens is that, for example, under one main umbrella, if there are 4 or 3 or 2 divisions, 2 parts to it. If the first part does not have further divisions, then you will not find it down. Wherever it is given there, the page number, everything is given there. And if the second part does not have the more further parts, then wherever it was found under the main umbrella, just that is where you find the page number, cross-reference number, all you'll be find there, and you will not find it below. But whereas those which has further divisions, you will find them specified in the below following. Okay, good. So now it is like how a system identifies object negation. This has 3 parts. The actual identification. Okay, let me read this because that from the booklet, so that you will get used to this, and it'll be very easy for us. Where is it? It is page 8, reference number 39. So 39, how our system identifies object negation. These are 3 parts. So what you find in the book, you see that it's in the booklet. The actual identification of object to be negated, and when to add qualifications to the other object's negation, and whether to add the qualification ultimate to the object negation. Okay, there are 3. And the next is the 43, 43 second. Second means The first has no further division. First does not have any further, does not have parts. So the first, you see the base number, everything there. So now let's go to the book. It says, actual identification of object to be negated. That is the first of the three. And it does not have further divisions, further parts, so therefore it is, you will not find it down there. So the moment you jump, you see the second. Okay. First, actual identification of object to be negated. In general, with regard to objects negation, there are objects negated by the path and objects to be negated by the reasons. Okay, there are two kinds of object negation. So this will broaden our understanding. This broaden. Thus far, what we said is that identify object negation. It is intrinsic reality. This is what we have been saying. Now we are learning here that there are two kinds of object negation. You're getting it? Okay. Don't feel that this is very complicated. Earlier it was so focused on intrinsic. Now again there are two. Right? Okay. Don't just give up. You will see. Just see if it makes sense to you now. If it makes sense, your knowledge broadens. You're getting it? So let's see. Okay, first let me say that the part of, okay, let's see. In the first place, why are we meditating? Why should we meditate on emptiness? Why should we meditate on emptiness? Very quick, to save time. To remove the afflictions. What about cognitive obscurations? Okay. Huh? Same. Which means, I don't understand what is same. Say it again.
Still the same wisdom of emptiness, but more powerful with the bodhicitta, with the motivation of bodhicitta.
No. Why are we meditating? Why should we meditate emptiness?
To remove the afflictions.
To remove the afflictions.
And for the cognitive obscurations, it's the same wisdom, but more powerful with the motivation of bodhicitta.
Okay. So it's minimalist redundancy, minimalist inadequacy when it says afflictions. Then added more. Bodhicitta, right? Cognitive by bodhicitta, right? Okay, what he said is correct. Okay, Benla, very quick.
Geshe, to eliminate the mental defilements.
To remove the mental defilements, very simple. You're getting it, to remove the mental defilements. Now, mental defilements have to be negated, to be rejected. You agree? Mental defilements, intrinsic existence, does it exist or not? Hey, intrinsic existence, does it exist or not? Huh? It doesn't exist. Mental defilements, do they exist or not? Where? In us. We're so rich in this. So therefore, intrinsic existence is object negation to be negated by the wisdom. And the mental defilements is to be negated by the path, by practicing the path. You're getting it? How to remove the self-grasping ignorance to be eradicated or not? So self-grasping ignorance exists or not? It exists and is to be negated, is to be eradicated. Yes? So intrinsic existence is to be negated, and self-grasping ignorance, afflictions, defilements, they ought to be eradicated. You're getting it? To be negated. Yes? So there are two things. One negation, what to be negated exists. For example, like self-grasping ignorance, afflictions, attachment, desire, anger, cognitive obscurations. So for these are the class of the things which exist and to be negated, to be eradicated. And on the other hand, we have intrinsic existence, which also have to be negated by our intelligence, by our wisdom. So there are two things to be negated. One exists and what does not exist. So it says here, in general, with regard to the objects negation, there are objects, and the objects negated by the path. By the path meaning, for example, by meditate on the okay, what paths are there? How many paths are there? 5. What are they? Okay, Nimala. Path of accumulation. Okay, Mike.
Path of accumulation, path of preparation, path of seeing, path of meditation, and path of no more learning.
Wow. So there's a fluency there. NMC1? Yes, there's amazing. There's a fluency there. I could feel it. Thank you. Okay. So these 5 parts, of the 5 parts, the third one, path of seeing, what does it do? If we reach that level, what's the benefit? Part of seeing. Huh? You see emptiness directly, and then so your job is to awaken the Buddha nature. Awaken the Buddha nature. Buddha nature is like the mud, like the gold, mixed with the mud of the mental defilements. Our job is to remove the mental defilements. So that's the job. Buddha nature is already there. The purity, so gold is already within us. That's mixed with the mud. Remove the mud, right? So with the part of seeing, what mud is removed? What mental defilement is removed? Anyone? Afflictive obscurations, acquired afflictions, very good. It's the acquired afflictions removed. Particularly in the context of the Prasangika, there are differences in the presentation. According to Prasangika, say the path of seeing, acquired afflictions are eradicated, path of meditation, till the 8th bhumi, till all the afflictive obstacles are removed, and then from the 8th bhumi, then you start eradicating cognitive obscuration. This way of remove the mental defilements is uniquely from the Prasanga point of view. So, say part of the accumulation, what is removed is one set of mental defilements is removed. What is removed? Acquired afflictions. Acquired afflictions are removed. So acquired afflictions, do they exist or not? They exist. So they exist and they are to be negated. They are negated when you get the part of seeing. Okay. The moment you get the part of seeing, acquired afflictions removed or not? The moment you get the part of seeing, the moment you get the realization emptiness, instantly the acquired afflictions removed or not? Yes, no. Yes, no, yes. No. No. Okay, then now the labeling, why not? Tinsi Dwala. Raise hand. So what we said is the path of seeing, the afflictive obscuration, the acquired afflictions are removed. But we said that you get the path of seeing, the moment you get it, it doesn't entail eradicating the acquired afflictions. So when is that eradicated?
When you reach the 8th bhumi.
Okay. The Chosin Dawla. Raise hand. Yes.
Hello. Geshe opportunity is there. Tony Musum the topic of the Tonlam like the or Geshe the Parchimela Namdolamera. Parchimelam got the Tenzila, Tenzigundala, the Tenzigundala Musum, Yamposhe Made Payomaris, Namdolam Gola, the Anguris.
Okay, what Sundala is saying is that part of seeing can be divided into three segments. The first one is known as uninterrupted path of seeing. The first one is uninterrupted path of seeing. And the second one is the path of release of the path of seeing. First one is uninterrupted path of seeing, Bharje Melam, Tholam Bharje Melam. Next is path of release of path of seeing, which is Tholam Nandulam. Then the next is, the post-meditative experience, the Jetop post-meditative experience. So there are 3 steps there. And so it is eliminated when? So, okay, anyone else? 3 steps. When is the acquired afflictions eradicated? Which step? 1, 2, 3. Path of release. Number 2. Path of release. Okay, my question to you. How many agree with Nimala and Chola Srindavala? Raise hands. Path of release. At only that much. Immediately preceding path uninterrupted path. There, you do not abandon it. Abandoning it happens in this path of release. Okay. Why in the path of the uninterrupted path that is not attained? Abandonment of the acquired afflictions did not happen. Why not? Okay. Anna Greg over there.
I'll try. I believe at the uninterrupted path of seeing that you haven't established the confidence at that point, and can use the example of the thief in the house, that during the uninterrupted path, the thief has been put out of the house, but you haven't locked the hatch, which is what occurs at the path of release, if I recall.
Okay, so what Anna is saying is that with the uninterrupted path, the metaphor is that your house, earlier you had the thief breaking in, and then you threw the thief out, but the lock is not, the door is not locked from inside yet. So thief is out, is no more with you, but the door is not locked. He can come in any time. Okay, how many agree with this metaphor? Very good. So therefore, at that point, because he can come at any time back, it is not fully abandoned. Okay. Then when you lock the door from inside, that is a metaphor for the path of release. Okay, path of release. Now my next question is, why is the first of the 3 known as the uninterrupted path? Why this uninterrupted? Why uninterrupted? Hey, Geshe, why uninterrupted? Parjeme. Nah. The mic. Nah. Okay. Geshe, Parjeme cousin, Parjeme.
Nah. Parjeme sa karchini. Tanya karchin tar so. Parjeme the Damdul. Thomba ba pangpat. Thoba ni party khasa tongi to be nyamsa ishira. Nyamsa kyuji ba yim se mare. Parjeme the Damdul.
So look, this is check the what is that? Quality control. Quality control. Geshe, Gilu Gupta, 6 years, Gilu, what is the Geshe exam? Kesaram. Parjeme Kashinlar.
Tonla namdo lamto parsi tomongye parsi ngoso ondi kawish.
Tonla parsi diwero.
Tonla parsi melon yegoso tomongye tombang. Ondi ki parsi ngoso mewansa.
Tombang parsi mebe. Tombang parsi mebe sna kare ti tombang parsi mebe slabye na ani ko takuma de bejaro. Kuma yongchore.
세상
parsi yongchore.
parsi yongchore tak. ina parsi yomara. 강반에 꾸맛된 사람. parsi yomara.
parsi yodo ani kuma tense tandu kuma le die parsi rwani.
mar 강반 나오라 parsi
rwani.
강반 나로 parsi yomara.
kunchol parsi yongurda leroda.
tido yer.
Rwani.
tido.
Ani
na korang inne kapla parsi de yomarta.
This was lot of quality control. Young ones. Neha, did you raise hand? Okay. the Chunzula, you raise hand? Yes.
I think it's uninterrupted because at the next moment we are sure it will be abandoned. So it's on the path, on the way to be abandoned. So it cannot be interrupted anymore. We cannot stop anymore the fact that it's going to be abandoned.
Okay, let's see that the answer given by Gyaltsab is that the uninterrupted, the interrupter, the one which interrupts is the acquired afflictions. And in that state, acquired afflictions is not there. Although it's not abandoned, it's not there. This is known as uninterrupted path. But it can interrupt you. So therefore you cannot relax. So this, I find it needs still a little bit of fine-tuning. So what Venerable Chunzula says is that this uninterrupted path, because there is nobody can interrupt this mind, uninterrupted. Nobody can interrupt to attain the next level. Nobody can interrupt, guaranteed. You're getting it? It's guaranteed. It's not just that the acquired afflictions is absent, but nobody can interrupt. Nobody can interrupt this mind to reach to the next level to attain the liberation or liberation from the acquired afflictions, which are very good. So, in other words, what I'm saying is that with the path of accumulation, what is that path of seeing, acquired afflictions are to be abandoned. Acquired afflictions exist or not exist? They exist. They are to be negated, but they do exist. So, object of negation, these are the objects to be negated, but they do exist. Whereas intrinsic existence is to be negated, it exists, not exists. It does not exist. So within object negation, in a broad sense, there are two classes, one which exists, one which does not exist. One which exists is the object negation of the paths, and the one which does not exist is the object negation of the reasons or of the wisdom. So it says the objects negated by the paths and the object negated by reason too. As to the first of these, Aramatriya's separation of the middle from the extremes say, they are teachings on the afflictive obscurations. Afflictive obscurations to be negated, not negated. We have to negate them. And on cognitive obscurations to be negated, not negated. We have to negate them. Do they exist or not? They exist, so they are the object negation. They are object to be negated. And this object negation of what? Two kinds of the path. Very good. We hold that all obscurations are among these. And when they are gone, when they are exhausted, so better would be when they are exhausted. In Tibetan, it is seba. When they are exhausted, you are liberated, you are free. Thus, there are afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations. So these are the object negations, the object negations of the path. These object negations do occur among objects of knowledge. Do occur meaning they exist. They exist as phenomena. Object of knowledge means phenomena. Just make it simple. Object negation underline this phenomena. Do occur means exist. They exist as phenomena. So therefore, if we translate these objects of negation do occur among objects of knowledge, it can be it becomes a little vague. Instead, these objects of negation do exist as phenomena. It becomes clear. Next. For if they did not exist, if these afflictions, afflictive obscurations, cognitive obscurations, they do not exist, then what happens? Then all the embodied beings, meaning sentient beings, will escape cyclic existence without exertion. You agree? If the afflictive obscurations, cognitive obscurations, they do not exist at all, then sentient beings are already liberated. Yes? Good. As for objects negated by reason, that's the second one. What is object negated by reason? Intrinsic existence, very good. Intrinsic existence, okay. I'm glad that some of the people, they trusted my words from years ago, and now they could see that these are all testified. My word is that I don't for all these teachings, I don't, of course, for this teaching, so next time if the same teaching happens some other place, then it's going to be very restricted, only for NMC, not for others, because this is exception. His Holiness is here, my teacher is here. This is such a holy place to give opportunity for as many people. So we just close eyes and say, come, come. So meanwhile, some issue comes from the organizers. Organizers, what is this Geshe La? Right? So too many exceptions. And then later people go to the organizer, and the organizer requesting me, Geshe La, can give the exception? I said, look, this is very difficult. People come to you and you cannot say no. So people come to me, I cannot say no. Right? So it's the same. So organizers, they understand it. Okay. So but otherwise what I'm saying is that otherwise this particular the course, very specialized course, of course we need to have the audience restricted. But generally speaking, what I say is that for the otherwise Bodhicitta teaching, they can be quite advanced in terms of teachings. But I only expect two things from the audience. You don't require to have already a great exposure to Buddhist philosophy, not required. If you have no exposure to any philosophy, that is also fine. But what I need is two. One is interest. Number two is consistency. Where you have these two, I can guarantee you that these people will shine eventually. I've seen that with my own eyes. So therefore, those people who are very consistent, say initially you start, there are two persons, and one is like 10%, and the other one is just like a bonfire, like a laser, like 80%, so fast. But it's like the race between the tortoise and the hare, and the hare sleeps, finish, and the tortoise completes the race. This I've seen with my own eyes. And these tortoises will never, they will not remain so tortoise anymore, they become hare. Right? And fast moving hare, no sleeping hare. Because as a tortoise, they have built the habit of not to sleep. Right? Keep going. And then they become a hare and not sleeping anymore. Then they shine, they become like a laser. So whereas initially you are a hare, sleep, and tortoise wins. Okay, so this is what, these two things are required. If you have these two things, even this text, you will enjoy later on, at a certain point you will enjoy this. So when I started NMC1, and so on, some of my friends, they said that we don't understand anything. And then they were repeating the courses with the other Bodhicitta classes, NDC. Then they said, now it makes sense. Now something is, I can understand something out of this. This is because of the interest and the consistency and belief in your Buddha nature, confidence in the Buddha nature. Are you good? Second paragraph, as for objects negated by reason, Nagarjuna's refutation of objections says, Nagarjuna's refutation of objection is Tsidok. Someone thinks that an emanated woman is a woman. So now you apply this to a man. For the girls, you can say someone thinks that an emanated man is a man. And another emanation stops this wrong conception. This is like that. So wrong conception is existent or non-existent. It is existent and it can be negated. So, and at the same time, how that wrong conception is negated is by, say for example, okay, seeing the woman as a real woman, the emanated woman as a real woman. So emanated woman as a real woman, does it exist or not? Hey, emanated woman as a woman, emanated man as a man, does it exist or not? It does not exist. It is to be negated. It is to be negated. And so alongside the conception of the emanated person as a real person, conception, does it exist or not? That exists. So object of that does not exist. Object of that is the object negation, example of the object negation of the reason and their conception. Concept believing that emanated person is a person. that conception as a mind, that is the object negation of the path. You getting it? You got it? Okay. Now, so in his auto-commentary on the refutation objections, he says, a woman emanated by some being is empty of the nature of being a woman. But someone else wrongly thinks this is, instead of ultimately, it's better to translate as truly. This is truly a woman. Okay. And the Tibetan is Tundama. So therefore, I'm saying we need to, for example, say, I translate from Tibetan to English. English to Tibetan is much less. So there I make sure that I double check with the native English speakers. I double check with native, because that my English is purely bookish English. It's not real English. I mean it. It's a bookish English. And to say the nuances, vernacular, how the words are used. In the vernacular sense, I have no difference between this. Once there was one American who was a very the senior security personnel, and we became close friends. We started to communicate. I'm here, he was there communicating, and then he sent me a letter saying that, Dorji, don't be too formal. I said, what is formal? I don't know. This is what is formal or informal. This is my English. You're getting it? So therefore they could see the nuances, differences. What is formal English? What is the semi-formal English? What is the informal English? They see difference. In our eyes, they don't see the difference. There's only one. Whether you like it or not, this is English. Okay. So likewise, this is a native Tibetan speaker would say, this is ultimately woman. No, this is truly a woman. If you read the Tibetan, this is the feel that you get. This is truly women rather than ultimate. Well, truly existent, ultimately existent, same philosophically, but nuances there in the usage. This is truly a woman. Therefore, due to that wrong conception, attachment arises. The Tathagata or Shravaka, or the Tathagata, or Shravaka of the Tathagata emanates another emanation, and thereby stops that person's wrong conception. Similar, how stop? By saying that this is not this emanation, this is not real women or men or whatever. Similarly, my words, which are empty like an emanation, stop my words. Oh, things are empty of intrinsic reality. Words are used. The words, they stop like an emanation. Stop emanation meaning that these words is empty of intrinsic reality. It's simply imputed by the mind, like emanation. And yet it stops any apprehension that anything exists intrinsically. Yes, for example, His Holiness teaches us nothing exists intrinsically. He only uses words, and his words are empty of intrinsic reality. But these words are used to convey the information to us that nothing exists intrinsically, and it works. It works. So similarly, my words, which are empty like an emanation, stop any apprehension that anything exists intrinsically. All things like emanated women are empty, and do not intrinsically exist. So this is from the commentary. Now, Lama Tsongkhapa's the explanation. Thus, he speaks of misconceptions as object negation. Misconceptions, this is the object negation of the path. Because it exists, misconception exists. The misconceptions as the object negation, which means object negation of path. And he also treats the intrinsic nature that they apprehend as the object negation. That intrinsic nature is the object negation of reason, because it is to be negated by reason, which does not exist. The intrinsic nature does not exist, making two kinds of object to be negated. It is clear? Is it clear? Good. However, the primary object negation of the two is the latter, which is intrinsic nature as the object negation. That is the primary of the two. For why? The reason given is for in order to stop an inaccurate consciousness, for example, self-grasping ignorance. Self-grasping ignorance is object negation of the path, because it exists. So in order to stop this inaccurate consciousness, how do you stop it? You must first refute that object which that consciousness apprehends. This concept apprehends things as object real. What is the object of this self-grasping ignorance? intrinsic existence of the intrinsic existence. So this you have to reject it, and this is how you reject the misconception. You reject the objective existence, and this helps you to reject the misconception of the objective existence. So first you reject what? Objective negation of the reason, and that helps you to negate the objective negation of the path. Very good. For in order to stop an inaccurate consciousness, you must first refute the object which that consciousness apprehends. For instance, dependent arising. By understanding with the reason of dependent arising, one refutes the essential or intrinsic existence of the persons and phenomena. So here, the translator used the very standard translation, intrinsic existence of the persons and phenomena. Otherwise, he used the word object for the phenomena. Okay, this latter object negation cannot be among objects of knowledge. Okay, latter object negation, what is that? Intrinsic existence cannot be among objects of knowledge. What do you mean by objects of knowledge? Phenomena. So it cannot be a phenomenon. It cannot be existent. It should be non-existent. If it did exist, then it could not be refuted. If it did exist, it cannot be refuted. You agree? Okay, what about the afflictive obscurations? Can we refute or not refute? We refute. We cannot refute because it exists. If it exists, we cannot refute it.
This is the object of the wrong conception.
So, okay, Shandila.
We cannot refute the afflictive obscurations because they exist, but we can refute the object, the misconceptions in the objects, the objects of negation in the objects of the afflictive obscurations.
Okay, so Lama Tsongkhapa said, I think that Lama was saying something. He said that if it did exist, then it could not be refuted. So afflictive obscurations, they exist, so therefore it cannot be refuted, is it?
They cannot be refuted because they are a kind of
afflictive obscurations. Can they be refuted, not refuted?
No.
They can be refuted.
They can be removed.
They can be removed.
The objects can be.
They can be negated.
Negated. The object of that those obscurations.
Afflictive obscurations can be negated, not negated.
In the sense they can be removed. They can't be negated in the sense by reason.
Okay. So basically what Shandila is from IIT Mumbai. Shandila is from IIT Mumbai. You gotta get, there are two IIT Mumbai, three IIT Mumbais. Okay, senior and the juniors. Two juniors there is hence. IIT Mumbai. Okay, not half, full. Okay, Samjukta, Prerak. Okay, good, thank you. So basically, if it did exist, so what we said is the object negation of the path and object negation of the reason. Object negation of the reason, if it did exist, it cannot be negated. Whereas the object negation of the path, even if it did exist, it can be negated. The difference lies in how we negate the object of the negation of the path. By rejecting the object, but the rejecting object of that, the misconception. You're getting it? Object of that misconception, you negate it to say it does not exist. So this is how the wrong conception which earlier existed can be removed. So we have to know the context. You have to know the context. Okay. Still, there are mistaken superimpositions that apprehend it as existing. Although such the intrinsic existence does not exist, people still misconceive. Misconceptions still exist. And so you must refute it. And this refutation is not like destroying a pot. This refutation is the refutation of the intrinsic existence. This cannot be done like destroying a pot with a hammer. Rather, it is a matter of developing certain knowledge. Certain knowledge meaning definite knowledge that recognizes the non-existent as non-existent. So, intrinsic existence which is non-existent, which some people think that it exists. You should know this. What is non-existent is non-existent. So intrinsic existence is non-existent. It is non-existent. So you have to know that what is non-existent as non-existent. You have to know that. So if you know this, whereas some people believe, some people see what is non-existent as existent. So then this is known as the ignorance. Whereas you know the non-existence as non-existent, then the ignorance is removed. How many understood it? Very good. Okay. When you develop a certain knowledge, so this, I don't know for the native English speakers, the certain knowledge, do you see native English speakers, do you see there's little ambiguity there? Certain knowledge, certain people are complicated, certain people are good. You agree? Certain people are good. It says like English, some people are good, certain people are good. So some, it can refer to some. So instead, but certain has the meaning of definite also. It has both the meanings. So here, if you use these words, which can be very ambiguous, we can refer to both, but then it can be very difficult for the readers. So therefore, all these ambiguities must be removed as the translators. Okay, so certain knowledge means definite knowledge that recognizes the non-existent as non-existent. When you develop certain knowledge or definite knowledge that it does not, if possible, where I say replace, not replace, I would say give the alternative translation, certain as definite, change it, write it, definite, because later you'll forget what I said. And then you may say that certain knowledge, they can be some knowledge. It's not a some knowledge, it's a definite knowledge. Okay, definite. So when you develop certain knowledge or definite knowledge that it does not exist, the mistaken consciousness that apprehends it, intrinsic existence existing, will stop. Similarly, using reason to establish something is not a matter of newly establishing something that did not exist before. Okay, say for example, emptiness. Emptiness, same. Okay, so say emptiness, we see that things are intrinsically real, and you have no clue what is emptiness. And then somebody helps you understand emptiness. So that means a person helps you to establish emptiness. Establish emptiness doesn't mean that emptiness was earlier non-existent, and then that person helps you, that gives you the emptiness in your hand. It's not. Emptiness existed way before. So what has already existed is explained to you that this is it. It's not bad, for example, like plant a seed and you want to enjoy mangoes. Or then the person helps you, you have to plant a seed of the mango. Plant the seed, and then after how many years? Most likely, Tenzin, how many years? No idea. 5 years. Okay, here. Here, the Nimala has a beautiful, what do you call it, orchard. Farm, beautiful farm, and Vivek's just amazing. Okay, so they say you plant a mango seed, and after 5 years, mango trees grow and the mangoes grow. Okay, let's say mangoes grow. So which means something which was totally non-existent, and that person helps you to have it come freshly, newly, which did not exist before. So when you're establishing emptiness, it's not that, oh, there's no emptiness, and suddenly the person comes, Aranigarjuna comes and gives you emptiness. No, it's not like that. Emptiness exists way before. It already existed. The only thing is that I was ignorant of its existence. I did not know its existence. So Aranigarjuna came, Lama Tsongkhapa came, His Holiness the Dalai came to teach us that this is what it was. Since time immemorial, this is it. And then we realize, okay, this is establishing. Negating intrinsic reality and establishing emptiness. Okay, so it says, similarly using reason to establish something. Last paragraph. Similarly using reason to establish something is not a matter of newly establishing something that did not exist before. Like a seed producing a seedling which did not exist before. You plant a seed and the seedling grows. It's not like that. Rather, it is a development of a definite knowledge that recognizes a phenomena as it is. Earlier it is like that, now this is how things are. And you didn't know it before. Now this is what it is. This is how it has been operating, how it has been existing since the earlier. So Arya Nagarjuna's repetition objection says, what use is it to establish the negation of what does not exist anyway, even without words? Okay, so I have the reformulated translation. Don't delete what the early translation, don't delete that. Just the write my option and the option that I would give, and see if there's any difference. If there's no difference, then delete my translation. If there's a difference, keep it there. Okay, my translation would be that the word which is empty, that the word which is empty, comma, establishes the cessation which is non-existent. Let me repeat it. That the word which is empty, comma, establishes the cessation which is non-existent, in bracket means meaning means in bracket is my edition, the translator's edition, that the word which is empty, comma, establishes the cessation which is non-existent, means in bracket it means that the word explains or indicates, the word indicates what is said to be non-existent, but it is not eliminator. Okay, I'll explain this later first. That the word which is empty establishes the cessation which is non-existent, and then in bracket means bracket close, that the word indicates what is said to be non-existent, what is said to be non-existent, what is said to be non-existent, but it is not eliminator. Okay, let me quickly explain this. Okay, how many of you already wrote it? You want me to say this once more? Say it once more? Okay. That the word which is empty, comma, establishes the cessation which is non-existent, means, in bracket, means, bracket close, that the word indicates what is said to be non-existent. What is said to be non-existent. What is said, there's ambiguity here. What is said and comma. What is said, comma, to be non-existent. Okay, non-existent, but it is not eliminator. It is not eliminator. Okay, let me quickly explain this. That the word which is empty, which is empty of intrinsic reality. You understand? You get it? A word which is empty of intrinsic. For example, say His Holiness says that nothing exists intrinsically. He don't use this word. This word is empty of intrinsic reality. Yes, no. This word is empty. Empty meaning empty of intrinsic reality. So this word establishes the cessation. The cessation meaning that the intrinsic reality doesn't exist. A cessation. There's no intrinsic reality. Which is non-existent, meaning that the cessation of the intrinsic reality that is non-existent. Means, this is the root words, means, now the explaining, means that the word, that particular word indicates what is said, meaning, say for example, like the intrinsic reality to be non-existent, intrinsic reality to be non-existent. For example, His Holiness says there is no intrinsic reality. So this word of His Holiness indicates that intrinsic reality is non-existent. You agree? So what is said of the intrinsic reality is indicated as non-existent, but it is not eliminated, meaning that this word, say the intrinsic existence early existed, and the His Holiness word says it does not exist, and the intrinsic reality is eliminated, it disappears suddenly. This is not what the word does. It's simply an indicator. It does not eliminate something. It makes some sense? Okay, now I'm not going to comment on the previous translation. You just compare. If it makes sense, just keep it there, it's fine. and I'm tired. Okay, so next two lines from the next page also same. The same. So that comes with the earlier one. So done. In his commentary on that, the explanation will come down. In his commentary on that, Nagarjuna says, Quam, if you are establishing the negation of something that doesn't exist, even without words, okay, that you have to change it. Even without words, this is the nuanced Tibetan. Instead of even without words, you change it to except for the words. Except for the words. If you are establishing the negation of something, what is that? Something that does not exist, intrinsic existence does not exist. For example, say the flower. Flower exists by imputation. Flower exists by labeling. Labeling is words. Flower exists by labeling. Flower exists by imputation. Flower exists by labeling. Intrinsically, objectively, there's no flower. But flower does exist by labeling. Labeling means label is a word. Labeling exists by the power of the words. You're getting labeling. Okay. So it said, except for what is there? It's a flower. There's no intrinsic flower except the words. It's the labels. You're getting it? Except for the words, the flower as objective, there's nothing there. So this is what it is, and the translator missed that part. So if you are establishing the negation of something, intrinsic existence, that does not exist except for the words. Intrinsic reality is not there, so the label is left. Because it exists by the labeling. You're getting it? Objectively, it is empty. Now the labeling is left. What is that? The words, except for the words. Without saying anything, remove that part. Without saying anything. Then except for the words, then what is the use of your words? So if it is only the words, if it are only words, what's the use of that? Which, okay. The words, okay. What is the use of your words? Which words? All things lack intrinsic nature. His Holiness says nothing exists intrinsically. These are the words. You're getting it? What is the use of your words which said all things lack intrinsic nature? Reply. The words which said all things lack intrinsic nature do not cause things to lack, do not cause things to be eliminated. Do not cause things to be eliminated. They are not eradicated. They don't eradicate the intrinsic nature. This word does not eradicate the intrinsic nature, meaning intrinsic nature early existed and then the words come and they eradicate the intrinsic nature. No, it does not happen like this. It do not cause things to lag, do not cause things to be deprived of intrinsic nature, but in the absence of, okay, so this modify a little bit, but don't delete completely. How I would translate is lack intrinsic nature, but in the absence of intrinsic nature, just underline this, keep it, just ignore this for the time being, but they do make it understand. These words make it understood that things lack intrinsic nature with those things which are empty of intrinsic nature. You getting it? What is empty of intrinsic nature? These words help you understand that things are empty of intrinsic nature. So earlier, in the absence of intrinsic nature, if you put it before, then the ambiguity comes. That becomes like meaningless. It does not have nothing to do. It simply just make understand that things are lacking intrinsic nature. It's not just that. That these words tell you that things don't exist in intrinsic nature with those things which actually lack intrinsic nature. It becomes clearer. You got it? Kate? Got it? Good. Okay, so how I have to, let me put once more, replying. The words, which words? All things lack intrinsic nature. Do not cause things to lack intrinsic nature, meaning do not make things which early exist intrinsic and now to be lacking. This is not what these words do. But what it did is just ignore in the absence of intrinsic nature, just ignore that, put it last. But they do make it understood that things lack intrinsic nature with those things which are empty of intrinsic nature. So in Tibetan, in English, so there are two ways. In Tibetan, the same Tibetan can be translated in both ways. How they translated and how I did it. So I think that the way I did it may be clearer. Okay, so but it's your choice. Let me complete this part, this paragraph, and then we'll stop here. For example, even though Devatat is not in the house, someone says Devatat is in the, okay, now don't feel too bored. Okay, this is not Devatat, this is easy. For example, even though Devatat is not in the house, you understand it? Okay, huh? You understand it? Okay. Even though Devatat is not in the house, someone says Devatat is in the house. You understand what is being said? Good. And someone else, in order to show that Devatat is not there, says Devatat is not there. These words do not cause Devatat to disappear. Not to be there, but merely indicate that Devatat, who did not exist, is indicated to be non-existent. That's as simple as that. Not that he exists and suddenly you said Devatat is not there and he disappears. This is not what happens. Similarly, the words which said things lack intrinsic nature do not cause things to lack, do not cause things to disappear. Do not cause things to disappear of its intrinsic nature. All things lack intrinsic nature, like creatures in a magical illusion. However, childish beings are confused about the absence of real existence, real essence, or intrinsic existence in all things. So, nothing exists intrinsically since time beginning till today. Nothing exists intrinsically, but a childish views things as intrinsically real. So the misconception there. So as the wise person comes and tells a person, the childish, that intrinsic never existed. So these words help the person to realize what is non-existent as. What is non-existent as? Non-existent, as somebody said. He did not make things but existed as disappear. Okay. However, childish beings are confused about the absence of real essence, intrinsic existence. Just, if possible, try to make a mark there, add the words, because later you may get confused. Real essence, intrinsic, different words you use, you may think that it must be meaning something else. No, it's just intrinsic nature in all things. So we make them understand that there is no intrinsic nature. No. So actually he's saying the same thing, but the two words, different words you use. Readers can be confused. That there's no intrinsic nature in the things that they, confused by ignorance, verify as having intrinsic nature. Therefore, what you have said, that if there is no intrinsic nature, what you use are the words, there is no intrinsic existence. If there's no intrinsic nature at all, then why should you have to say that? For example, some people say that, okay, I'm just wondering, there may be some problem in my house. So what's the problem? If there's a problem, there's a problem. You're going to do anything. If there's no problem, good. Right? So therefore, what's the problem? There's a problem. No problem, no problem. And like this, if there's no intrinsic nature, there's no intrinsic nature. Why should you have to use the words? Why should you have to say there's no intrinsic nature? It is non-existent. By saying this, okay, do things exist intrinsically or not? No. And would you be happy to tell somebody, right, to somebody that nothing's intrinsically real, you don't be too infatuated with things? Would you be happy to share these thoughts with other people? You should know. So your problem is your problem, okay. Or, yes, of course, no, it's just like illusion, don't worry. Things are emptiness and real. How many would like to use these words to console others or to give some insight to other people? Raise hands. Okay, what about others? Shambhala. No, not all people. People who are receptive, would you be happy to share?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, how many would be happy to share? How many would be kind enough to share these thoughts? For example, like, okay, what example? Okay. There's a person there was a person, not is, there was a person who was on rent, 500 rupees rent, a small hut, 500 rupees per month. Expensive or cheap? $1, cheap or expensive? 500 rupees per month, a house. Cheap or expensive? Very cheap, very cheap. And the person was in that house is leaking water coming from the what? Roof, leaking. No running water inside. No washroom inside. What do you to go to get from outside? You getting it? And then the person's offered a good house by a relative. Good house with running water inside, with the shower inside, and the roof perfectly well. And the person is not moving to that place, continue to stay in this place. And people saying, move. Say, no, if I move, then somebody will come in this room. After all, this is not your place. After all, this is not a place. So what's wrong? No, I'm getting it very cheap. 500 rupees. So then somebody wise person should come, and how can another person come to make sense to that person? How will the person make sense to that person? How will you make sense to that person? Let go of this and move there. You will say, then you become ill, become sick, suffocation, asthma, no running water in the night. You have to go for relieving yourself, and you may fall. And then the 100,000 rupees cost, lakhs of rupees cost, and 500, and make you spend lakhs of rupees in the hospitals for the illness and so forth. Instead, go to so to explain. You have to use words. You're getting it? You have to use words. But no, this is a problem. Problem is a problem. So what can we do? Right? No, a problem can be solved by changing the person's thought. How to change the person's thoughts? By using your thought, using your speech. So this is how we can do. So the words have the power to change it. So okay, let me finish this. However, childish beings are confused about the absence of real essence or intrinsic existence in all things. So we make them understand that there is no intrinsic nature, and the things that they confused by ignorance reify as having intrinsic nature. Therefore, what you have said, that if there is no intrinsic nature, what use are the words? If there is no intrinsic nature, what use are the words? There is no intrinsic. There is no intrinsic existence, inasmuch as things would be established as without intrinsic nature. And again, same thing, even without any words instead of that, except for the words. Except for the words. Even without any words, underline this, remove this, and change it to except for the words. Okay. So let me read this once more. There is the words, there is no intrinsic nature, inasmuch as things would be established as without intrinsic nature, except for the words. There is no intrinsic reality. So the flower does not exist intrinsically. How does it exist? Hey, the flower does not exist intrinsically. So how it exists? By mental imputed subjective existence. What is subjective? By labels, by mind, imputed by mind. So labels. So if there is no objective, remove the objective. What is left? Labels. Only the labels are left. Only the words are left, except for the words. Okay. And without saying anything, just delete this, and then continue, is therefore what you said no. Therefore, what you said is not reasonable. Okay, we'll stop here. What you said, meaning the opponents, who said there was use of your words, which are empty of intrinsic nature, how does it help to convince the other person if everything exists without intrinsic nature? So what you said is not reasonable. Okay, dedication prayer, page 55. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful generals say Tenzin Gyalso, please remain under samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushu and Samarabhata too realize things they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow the perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to the upholding of the doctrine, scripture, and insight. May in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. Having dispelled all inner and outer obstacles and downfalls, such as poverty, despair, oppression, cruelty, epidemics, and natural disasters, due to unabandonment and degradation, all beings forever enjoy the glory of peace and happiness. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I join the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. May I spend day and night carefully reflecting about what means can enhance his teaching, achieved by Supreme Savior, through strenuous efforts over countless eons. From my 2 collections, vast is space that I've amassed from working with effort in this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom is blinded by ignorance. Through persistence together.